Today we're checking out these Barricade Access Power running boards for the 2005 to 2023 Toyota Tacoma double cab. If your Tacoma is leveled or lifted, or you just want easier in and out access without giving up a clean look, then these are a great daily comfort upgrade that still fits the truck's rugged vibe, so they're definitely worth looking into. The top feature on these boards is going to be the fact that these deploy automatically when you open the door and they retract when you close it. So you're getting a real step in the moment, when you need it, where you need it. That makes a double cab way easier for yourself and rear passengers or kids and anybody climbing in with gear in their hands. When the door's shut, the boards are going to tuck up tight, which keeps the side looking cleaner and helps reduce the chance of scraping a fixed step on some uneven ground or steep transitions. It's one of those upgrades that makes the truck feel more premium, like it's a luxury feature, but honestly it's just super practical once you're using it every single day. These also have a really nice anti-pinch safety feature, and that's going to stop the boards if they meet any resistance. That's going to be especially helpful when you're parked close to curbs or you've got stuff around the truck, and it's going to make sure nobody gets hurt climbing in or out. The brackets and the hardware are all going to be included with the kit, and they're going to bolt up using those factory mounting locations so that the install stays clean and straightforward. And if you stick with me, we'll show you that install just here in a minute. Once these are on a day-to-day basis, it's a simple open the door, the step's there for you, you shut the door, and it goes away, keeping that side profile really clean and giving your Tacoma a nice premium look with a convenience upgrade at the same time. When it comes to the construction on this, you are getting heavy-duty extruded 6063 aluminum running boards that are going to be finished in a very nice, durable matte black coating. That's going to give you long-lasting toughness and a clean, factory-friendly look, and they're not going to corrode or chip over time like cheaper options. They're also built for real-world use with that 660-pound load capacity, so that they feel stable and solid underfoot every single time you or someone steps up into the cab. Now, as far as the pricing goes on these, it's coming in right around the $1,000 price range. For a power board setup that automatically deploys and automatically retracts and keeps a clean tucked up profile without giving up any of your clearance height on the bottom of the vehicle, that's a strong value in my opinion, especially if you compare it to some fixed steps that don't offer the same convenience, but you can still start spending close to the same amount of money. Now, when it comes to this install, it's going to be rated just a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and you can get this job done in about 2 hours of your time. Now let's head on out to the shop. We're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
All right, for this install, you're going to need various 3/8 ratchets, a 5mm Allen, a 10mm socket, a 13mm socket, along with a screwdriver, a 13mm wrench, a trim tool, and a pair of side cutters. Today we're going to be installing side steps on a Tacoma. Let's get started. All right, first we're going to install our brackets for our side step. One thing to take note, these are labeled left middle, left rear, and left front, so we're going to start on the middle section. Using the provided hardware, we're going to have the top one in first. So once we get that threaded in, we can just let that sit there. Now we can come back with a 13mm wrench and tighten that down. And just before you get all the way tight, you can put in your bottom bolt. For the bottom bolt, it's easier to switch to a 13mm with a ratchet and a socket on there and get that nice and tight. Switching back to a ratchet. Once you finish tightening these two up, you can now repeat for the rear and the front. Now we can get our bottom bolt in, and we're going to switch to a ratchet with a 13mm socket. Alright, once you get your top and your bottom bolt tightened up, you can now repeat for the rear bracket and the front bracket, and also repeat the same steps for the other side. Alright, next thing we're going to do is remove a couple trim pieces on the driver's side footwell here. We're going to remove this plastic piece just here, and also this piece in here too, so we can pull the carpet back up and get our wires tucked under it. So we can use a trim tool, get in there and pop that up, and set this aside. Alright, now for this trim piece right here, we have a plastic screw that's a little bit into the corner underneath there, so we're just going to unscrew that and then pull the whole piece forward. gonna look just like that. All right, this is our plastic screw that's gonna be sitting right here underneath the footwell, and this is the trim piece that we're gonna be pulling off, so once this is out of the way, we can set it aside. Now we're gonna peel back the carpet a little bit just so we can get these clips out here and here. So we're gonna pop that up, peel it back so we can get to the grommet underneath. Lift that up, and then we'll lift our insulation up a little bit so we can get to the grommet right there. Now it's recommended to cut a little X in the grommet so you can pass your wires through, but for demonstration purposes, we're just gonna remove the whole thing so we can get our wires through. Now we're gonna take our motor wire and push it through the grommet hole. Now we can feed our harness through the grommet. Now I'm gonna take my passenger side harness and run it underneath the driver's side footwell, in through the center console, and pick it up on the other side. Now you can route this any way you choose, but this is the easiest route for us, so we're gonna do it that way. I'm gonna lift up the carpet right here, put all that under. All right, we were able to get the harness pulled through the center console onto the passenger side. Once that's all the way pulled through, you can get out work on your passenger side over here. Now we have our main module harness. So we have these two connectors that are gonna be plugged into the module and our power wire. So for now, we're gonna disconnect this and set this aside. This end is gonna be passed to the firewall, and this end is gonna be picked up in the engine compartment. And then also we have our last wire to connect, which is our ground. Now we're gonna remove this bolt right here on the driver's side footwell for our ground. Using our 10mm socket. Now we can put our ground wire right on top and thread this back in. Now we can take our power wire and we can get it through our firewall right up in this corner. But first we're gonna have to pull this carpet back just a little bit, and then we're gonna use a long screwdriver to push back this grommet and go through. Now that we have the wire pushed through, we can pick that up later on. Now we can work on getting our wires tucked and also getting our module plugged in. Get both of our connectors in. And you can secure this out of the way of any moving parts. Now we can reinstall our driver footwell trim panel. We're gonna tuck some of the wire up behind it. So we're gonna lay that in. Now we can reinstall. And now we can put back on our plastic screw. Now we can take our door sensor wires and lay them in the channel, get them out of the way, and we're gonna take our left front and leave that here, and take our left rear, and we're gonna tuck that back through the panel. Now we can attach our door sensor. We're gonna place it right here. You can find any convenient spot that you need to, just as long as it doesn't get damaged when you close the door. So we're gonna remove the backing, and we're gonna place that right there. And we're gonna run our wire along this channel, and we're gonna tuck it underneath the weather seal. All right, now that we have our sensor run along the door seal, we can now connect our wires up and lay that back down. And once you have the sensor and the wire connected, you can repeat for the rear door and also for the other two doors. Now we can install our trim piece back in there, line that up. All right, once you have the harness run underneath the carpet and your sensors plugged in, you can now repeat for the other side. Now we can install our magnet on our door side. We're gonna remove the backing off, and we'll get that lined up where it needs to go. Once you get your harness run underneath your carpet and your door sensors plugged in and wired up, you can now repeat the same exact process for the other side. All right, now we're working on the engine bay where we have our power wire we're gonna connect to our battery. I've already got the wire through our firewall right here, so I'm gonna reach down and grab it. All right, it's kind of hard to see because it's a little bit low down, but we're gonna get these two connectors plugged in. All right, for safety, we're gonna remove the fuse from the harness, set that aside, and then we're gonna connect our lead to our battery. Using our 10mm socket, we can now remove one of the nuts, and now we can attach our lead. And now we can just tighten this back up. Now we can connect our fuse back in. Now we can take our power wire and tuck it away or zip tie it any way out of moving parts. Lay ours to the side like that. All right, now we can get our running board mounted up. First, we're gonna flip this over, get our brackets lined up. And now we're gonna undo our screws. Once you have these unthreaded, you can do the same for the other two. Now we can slide down our mounting points roughly where they need to go. And we're gonna start off with the middle one. So we can flip this over. And once you have that in the groove, you can rest here and just get a bolt started underneath. All right, once you have these in the correct spot, you can now use the provided hardware and get your screw started. Now you can tighten this down using your 5mm Allen. Once you get these two tightened down, you can now repeat for the front and the rear bracket. Now we can connect up our motor wire. And we're also going to take our wire and tuck it out of the way of any moving parts. Once we have that secured, we can now trim our zip tie. Once you got your motor connected and your mounting brackets on, you can now repeat the entire process for the other side. Alright, that wraps up our install for Barricade Access Power Running Boards for 05 to 23 Tacoma Double Cab. Just remember, for everything Tacoma related, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.